Welcome to the Archives Without Tears Key Concept Series, Module 5, Finding Aids. These modules provide a very brief and basic overview of the more in-depth content available through the Pennsylvania State Archives 2-day Archives Without Tears workshop. These concepts were first compiled by the American Association for State and Local History, AASLH, as the Basics of Archives course. With funding from the National Historical Publications and Records Commission, the Pennsylvania State Archives adapted these principles into Archives Without Tears, or AWAT, as an in-person 2-day workshop offering practical and accessible guidance for historical records repositories. This module, Finding Aids, is one of a series of key concept overviews. In this module, we will discuss what a finding aid is and how it can help researchers mine the contents of your archival collections. You will be able to provide a detailed inventory about your collection, describing not just the content of your collection, but the context in which it was created. Also referred to as inventories, finding aids provide detailed information about collections, describing not just the content of the collection, but the context in which it was created. They answer questions such as, where did the records come from? Why were they created? Do they relate to other records in your collection? And why are they significant? Information from collection finding aids will vary from institutions, but at their very core, the following elements are the same. The name of the program that holds the collection, the unique collection number, and the collection title. No two archival collections are the same, so no two finding aids will be the same. But most comprehensive electronic and/or document-style finding aids will contain the following elements. The name of the program that holds the collection. Here, the Pennsylvania State Archives is the owner and administrator of a collection of personal papers, manuscripts, and non-governmental records maintained and described as manuscript groups. Further noted are examples of records located within papers of governors of the Commonwealth, papers relating to prominent Pennsylvania families, and records of social, cultural, and civic organizations. Unique collection number and title are given to each collection housed under the parent manuscript group. The number generally reflects the next collection line that you have accessioned. As noted in the previous module, Module 3, Appraisal and Accessioning, and the title that you assign is usually quite broad because the content is so varied. Usually, the title is made up of a combination of the name of the record creator and the predominant type of material that is in the collection. Be as specific as you can, while still accurately reflecting the content of the collection. For example, in this case, the J. Simpson Africa Papers would be an accurate title for a collection that includes letters, diaries, and personal financial records. However, if the collection consisted of only letters from his travels around the world, then a better title would be the J. Simpson Africa Travel Letters. Additionally, the J. Simpson Africa Papers might be more appropriately labeled the J. Simpson Africa Financial Records if it contained only accounting ledgers. Next, in our finding aid is the biographical sketch or organizational history of the creating entity. A biographic sketch provides information on the creator of the collection, including significant historical details that provide context for the archival materials. It is a brief overview of the main events in the history of the creator. Example, when reviewing a young woman's diary, the user needs to know if the woman was an immigrant or from a well-to-do local family. A mayor's records might be very useful if the person was a populist or was elected on a specific campaign issue. In the J. Simpson Africa Papers, we find that the collection consists of papers concerning several generations of the Africa family, who were prominent in Pennsylvania state affairs. Additionally, there is microfilm available for this collection. Since this collection contains documents from several family members, it is conceivable that your finding aid could break down even further to provide a description and listing for each individual. As an example, J. Simpson Africa was a Secretary of Internal Affairs and wrote local history. His papers list accounts, speeches, articles, correspondence, and field books. The contents of a finding aid provide users with information not just on the history of the collection, but about the collection itself. Information like the date range of the collection, a description of the collection, if the collection has any access restrictions that the user should be aware of, and any other related information. Collection dates. Generally, collection dates are a range that encompasses the entire collection. In this particular finding aid, the date range is listed in the collection title, Correspondence 1855 to 1891 and undated, which informs the user that are documents with no date. Records description. A records description is a descriptive summary that includes information such as the type of materials in the collection, a diary, letters, etc., the dates or date range of the records, information about the arrangement of the collection, and the strengths and weaknesses of the subject matter, or what is not in the collection. You should also make note of significant subjects, people and/or organizations if it applies. In this case, the record's description is very brief, just noting the content of the series and what it pertains to. Access restrictions. Your finding aid should make note of any access restrictions and/or copyright statements that pertain to your collection. Access restrictions might be things like, you have it stored in another building and can't access it right away. The documents are in fragile condition and have to be handled with extreme care. Permission needs to be granted by the donor when quoting any part of the collection, and a statement regarding copyright for donated photographs or digital images. Copyright is an essential topic to cover when assembling your donor agreement at the start. It is also a good idea to confer with your organization's lawyer when it pertains to copyright. After the narrative description, you will want a container list like this one to help guide the user to find the exact box or folder needed. A container list is a list of boxes, folders, and volumes in the collection. You will need to know the box and folder numbers to request materials from within your stacks or record storage area. This list is a listing from one box detailing each folder with accompanying date range. Example, January-February 1855, alternate format, microfilm, and slot location, GM-0237. Finding aids are written to give the repository intellectual and physical control over their holdings and to help researchers find what they are looking for from within their collections. They can take many forms and range in detail from a brief summary of a collection to an itemized list of its contents, to a card catalog, or to a digital program, but most finding aids will fall somewhere in between. The level of detail and description depends on the resources of your repository and the collection itself. Remember, not all finding aids will be online. Thank you for viewing Module 5, Finding Aids. For the next module in this series, please view Module 6, Environment and Housing. For questions, please contact ra-statearchives@pa.gov. Thank you.